The year is 41 AD. The Emperor Caligula is dead, murdered by his own bodyguards. His replacement, his own uncle Claudius. He would take the throne and, in a bid to gain legitimacy amongst the Roman public, decided that the empire would expand north into the untamed lands of Britannia. Little did he know that in 60 or 61 AD, the untamed lands of Britannia would be defended by one of history's most savage barbarian leaders, a leader who united the Britons in a fierce revolt against Roman conquest, leader of the Iceni tribe, Queen Boudica. My name is Lonius, and you're watching the Lonius Academy. Before we begin, we must understand the context behind this video. This video is basically my National History Day project. I could have done some dumb poster or do a little skit, but I decided to do something fun. With my brother, we decided to create a Salmonella Academy style video, but without the vulgarness, because, school stuff. For those who don't know, Salmonella is another YouTube channel who has the main inspiration for this style you see in the video. He also talks about the history-related subjects, and the link to his YouTube channel will be in the description. So without further ado, let's get into it. So, in 43 AD, the Roman Empire, under the rule of Emperor Claudius, decided it was a good idea to follow in good old Caesar's footsteps and attempt to take over the island of Britain. For those who didn't know, Julius Caesar actually tried to take over Britain once before, back when Rome was a republic. But it didn't really go so well, so he just took some money, hostages, and screwed off back to Rome, where, he crossed the Rubicon, defeated Pompey, and ruled over Rome as a dictator, and he started the empire that we all know and love today. Of course, Claudius knew about this, and this time, he was going to do it right. He wasn't just going to take some money and hostages. He was going to rule Britain with an iron fist and bring the Roman eagle to the savages of Britain. So he took over Britain, slaughtered a bunch of people, and brokered a deal with the king of the Iceni tribe. You see, the Iceni were a tribe of people located off the eastern coast of Britain. They were mostly peaceful people, and they were tired of fighting the Romans, and they knew in the end that they wouldn't win. So they just decided to concede to Rome and become a tributary state. But the king died one day, and in his will, he stated that the Romans had rightful ownership over his tribe once he died. The governor of Britain at the time saw this and decided to take full advantage of it. And by taking advantage of it, I mean he sent his legions into Iceni lands and ransacked everything. Got money? Not anymore. Are you a man over 20 years old? Good news, you're now a slave. Are you a woman? Let's not talk about what they did to the women. So, the Romans just gave the metaphorical shaft to the Iceni people. But what finally pushed them over is when they abused the then queen of the Iceni tribe, Queen Boudica. So the Romans just metaphorically beat the crap out of the Iceni, and they thought they could get away with it. I don't think so, said Queen Boudica. For a week after the Roman ransacking, Boudica called a meeting with the leaders of the Iceni tribe, and leaders of other tribes who had been treated similarly by the Romans. Boudica stated that the abuse of the Romans must not go unpunished, and that she urged that the other tribes rally with her with a promise of riches, land, and of course the greatest prize of all, revenge. Now this meeting between the other nations is called diplomacy. Even in ancient times, diplomacy was a thing, but let's not focus on that too much, and let's get into the meat and potatoes you all came here for. So, they all agreed that they'd help each other kick the Romans out of Britain, and maybe even march on Rome itself if they got the chance. But they needed to prepare first, so they took an entire year of just producing weapons and training troops in the good old classic human wave tactics. Their idea of tactics was to throw bodies at the problem until it went away. Not many soldiers in Boudica's army got armor, let alone shields, but they did get swords and axes and whatever rags they had on at the time. So, at the time of the uprising, the governor of Britain was off in the north fighting with the Scottish in the hopes of getting more land for the empire. So their legions were very far away from the real action in the south. So Boudica gathered her army and marched on the Colonia of Camulodunum. And they were brutal. They had put up with the antics of the Romans for so long, and now they had an outlet to let out their anger. And let out their anger, they did. I'm talking burnings, slaughterings, and many, many painful forms of retribution. Things like this makes a Quentin Tarantino movie look like a children's playground. And her army was big. Like she had almost 100,000 men at her disposal. So imagine 15.5 football fields full of a bunch of sweaty, angry, disgusting tribesmen. And you got Boudica's army. Now her army wasn't very organized nor well trained, so they relied heavily on human wave tactics. So just imagine 100,000 men running towards your town and burning everything to the ground and executing the survivors. Yeah, it was not good at all. And then they moved onto the then capital of Roman Britain at the time, Londinium. They destroyed that town, more burnings, executions, that sort of thing, and then they moved to face the Roman army that had mustered to fight Boudica's army. Now the Romans had about 2 legions at their disposal, very well organized and very well equipped, and all of them had extremely rigorous and brutal training and discipline. However, there were only 20,000 of them, and 300 cavalry, which were horseback riders. So they both met and fought it out. Boudica sent her army sprinting towards the Romans with fire in their eyes, while the Romans just stood there and stared blankly at their enemies. Once the city hit the shield wall of the Romans, all of their momentum halted, and they were beginning to be slaughtered by the more skilled and disciplined Romans. This spooked the rest of the army, and it turned into a massive rout. However, they got stuck in the baggage train, and they were all just slaughtered by the pursuing Romans. Like, they had 100,000, and then they just came out with only 10,000. It was a disaster. Boudica escaped, but she later committed suicide by drinking poison rather than being captured and humiliated by the Romans. So, moral of the story, don't fight battles you can't win, or at least be smarter about doing it. Also, use diplomacy to your advantage. Diplomacy can be used for both peace and for war. Now, this is my very first video of the Lonius Academy, and it should be noted that this is merely a parody of Salmonella's Academy, and that all credit should go to him. But that's all for today. As always, I'm Lonius, and thank you for watching.